to the Zoom room again for another Art of Letting Go live session. So yeah, let's dive into today's email and related text, some reading, some information related to the quote for the day, as well as today's lesson, which is on the name of God. I'm going to share my screen with you. You can read the headline quote for us, which is a really simple one from a master called Ramakrishna. Share my screen. There we go. So if you can read that headline quote, very short one for us. To kick it off, Elaine. You're muted, just so you know.
Yeah. Many are the names of God, and infinite the forms through which he may be approached.
So this was a guy called Ramakrishna. He was a 19th century Indian mystic, really speaking about the universality of God or perfect love, and that it can be approached in many ways, in many paths, in other words, towards the same mountaintop. Why is this, you might ask? Because if God or love is ultimate awareness or beingness, it stands to reason that it must underlie all forms in this world. So you can perceive and approach God or love in anything, ranging from the most magnificent sunset to the most seemingly insignificant insect, if you so choose. I had an experience once where I observed these ants just doing their thing, as ants do. It was fairly random and chaotic. And just looking at that for a minute or two took me into the deep realization of the insanity of the ego, which remember is just the belief in separation, by helping me to extrapolate these effects to human beings, thereby confirming my choice for the reality of God or love that simply is and requires no frantic scurrying around in search of something outside of us. If you watch an ant, it doesn't appear to have any plan often. So that it goes in that direction, then it turns around, goes there, and then goes there, unless they're on a mission to get food or something, in which case they go in a straight line along a path. But often they're just ants on their own, just randomly going nowhere, and no seeming reason for going in any direction. So this is the realization that came to me. This is what's happening in this world, this frantic scurrying around in search of something outside of us, which is what almost every person who's not on a genuine spiritual path is doing in their lives, desperately seeking for something that's going to make this world better, but failing continuously. Another good example related to insects is the moment of awakening, what Yeshua calls a holy instant in the Course, and they call Satori in Zen Buddhism, that happened to Byron Katie, who's a spiritual teacher and author. We've discussed her before. So her history was that in her early 30s, she was really depressed. She was stuck in self-loathing. She was often unable to get out of bed for days or even weeks at a time. And by her mid-40s, she was not only severely depressed, but agoraphobic, which means you're scared of open areas, open spaces. She was overeating, and she was addicted to codeine and alcohol. So all in all, really not in a good place at all. She called her insurance company for help. She was referred to a women's counseling center and spent a couple of weeks there reflecting. Obviously had some assistance and help, based on mindfulness processes. So she did some self-reflection, and she literally and figuratively woke up one morning on the floor of her room because a bug crawled over her foot. Now, you might say, well, why was she sleeping on the floor? Because her self-esteem was so low that she didn't even believe she deserved to sleep in a bed. That's how crazy her mind had got. A bed was provided, but she didn't feel worthy of it, so she was sleeping on the floor. But that gave the opportunity for this bug to crawl over her foot. And she woke up and saw this bug on her foot. But for some reason, she didn't have any adverse reaction to it, because in that moment, she didn't identify with Byron Katie, the very sad ego. She just realized on a deep level that it was her own beliefs that had been creating her suffering. She suddenly perceived everything differently. And that all came from just seeing a bug as it was, without any ego story. Seeing really what she saw was the essence of that bug, and that allowed her to see into the essence of her own being. And then she said she went to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror and went, who is this person staring back at me? I don't really know at all. This was like this weird reflection. So she had a moment of awakening, satori as they call it. She saw that her suffering came from her thoughts about her life situation. My life is horrible. I don't deserve happiness. I don't even deserve a bed. And not from the situation itself. She realized the simple truth. When she believed her thoughts, she suffered. And when she didn't believe them, she was happy. Okay? Major sort of awakening. Very simple, but very key insight. So out of this insight, she developed a process of self-inquiry, which she called simply the work, that healed her mind, helped her let go of her depression, fears, and addictions, become a healer, who's helped hundreds of thousands of people change their lives over the past 35 years. So the work helps people let go of the fundamental cause of their illness, which, as Yeshua says clearly in this quote from section 1 of chapter 2 of the text, is their desire. So if you want to read that.
Illness is some form of external searching.
Which is, it's really well said early on in the text, chapter 2. He's just pinpointing the cause of illness. It's similar to what the Buddha said about desire, right? Desire is external searching. So he said the source of all suffering is desire. Yeshua frames it and says illness is some form of external searching. They're saying the same thing, aren't they? What he's really talking about starts in the mind. Mental illness is some form of external searching. And then you see the picture is of a woman with some money. Because money is the symbol of that external search. It's what enables the external searching of the world, isn't it? Without money, you can't get things, you can't get what you want. So we've invented money because we're addicted to this external search. And money provides that. So once you start understanding that, you can start unraveling the whole system and various unhealthy attitudes about money at the same time. So this, as I said, echoes the second noble truth taught by the Buddha 500 years before Yeshua, that desire or craving for something outside oneself is the source of all suffering. This leads us nicely into another interpretation of today's quote, which is that there are many different ideas that are symbols of or pointers to God or love. So these pointers typically show up as different dogmas in religions that their fundamentalist followers incorrectly perceive as their ultimate truth, rather than as mere pointers to the truth. And this attachment to fixed beliefs, which is what a dogma really is, actually blinds these followers to the very truth they claim to be ardently seeking through their religious path. It's kind of ironic, but that's how religions work. They're supposed to be revealing the truth, and in fact, they become a block against the truth. Because dogmas inevitably create separation, because those who don't share the believer's faith in them are seen to be separate from the believer and some kind of threat that needs to be guarded against. This denies the truth of the underlying unity between every person and sentient being on this planet as extensions of the same creative source. So as soon as you set up a situation where there's us and them, and I apparently have an enemy and I need to protect myself against that enemy, or I need to attack them, then this is what's happening. I'm just going to mute you, because the dog's going on there. So to illustrate this here, I'll give you a good example of this that happened to me a few years ago. I think you know the story, but I'll just mention it again. I was in discussions with an organization that promotes the teachings of A Course in Miracles in the UK. I won't mention names, but it's not difficult to figure out who it might be, to do an online evening workshop for their members, but was going away to do a 10-day silent Vipassana meditation retreat, which is the original form meditation taught by the Buddha 2,500 years ago. So out of courtesy, I thought I let the lady I was dealing with, knowing that I would be out of communication for at least 10 days because of retreat, in case she emailed me and I didn't get back to her for a week, just to let her know. However, what I didn't know is that the organization has a policy to exclude teachers who seem to be following in any way another spiritual path, because they're not, quote, pure enough to teach Course in Miracles. Even though the whole message of the Course is that we are one, and so excluding anyone from that unity on any invented grounds is just another separation device the ego uses to justify its apparent separate identity. In fact, I had a couple of profound mystic experiences on the retreat that I've shared before in my previous emails that only strengthened my faith in the Course's teachings, because I experienced, rather than just dogmatically believed in, the truth it teaches. And as Yeshua says in the introduction to the clarification terms in the Course, if you want to read that quote from the introduction, clarification terms, yeah.
A universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary.
So he's saying, it's actually about this universal experience. It's not about the theology. It's about the many paths that lead to God. He says in the same paragraph that all roads in the end lead to God. It's very broad-minded. It's not saying the Course is the only way. He says this is one of many ways. It's a good way. It's a quick way, which is why we study it and we practice it. But there are other ways, which one should be open to as well, because we have to acknowledge that not everyone is gonna resonate with the Course. Not everyone's going to understand it. It's written in high English. They may not like the English. They may not like the Christian language, and so on. So there's many ways. This, to refer back to my experience with this organization, it's really what one could call spiritual ego, a defense against the truth that's been going in many religious and spiritual disguises in the name of God, which is really just your own true identity as the Christ, the one self, or the great I am presence. And so God is just that absolute, indefinable essence, the true awareness that you are, that cannot be further broken down. You can't analyze it and dissect it and get, well, God is made up of this part and this part. It's just one presence or one awareness. And beyond that, you cannot go. There's nothing further. That's why it's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. It's where everything began, where everything will ultimately end up again. Hence the Alpha and the Omega idea. So this I am presence was first recorded in this passage in the book of Exodus about 2,600 years ago as the first name of God in the Bible revealed to Moses from a burning bush, which was likely a mystic experience. So was the bush in the Bible? It says the bush was burning, but it wasn't burning up. Well, that indicates it was some kind of vision. He was having this mystic experience and saw the bush in his mind, rather than in physical reality, because in physical reality bushes burn and then the bush eventually just burns out. It doesn't just burn eternally. So this was probably had in some kind of vision, dream state. Some remember watching an interpretation of it where Moses was hallucinating. He got injured and he was caught on the mountain in bad weather, and he had this hallucination, and in that hallucination he saw the burning bush, and this presence spoke to him. And so it's recorded in the Bible what it said to him. So if you can read that quote from Exodus chapter 3, verse 14.
Yeah. God said to Moses, I am what I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel. I am has sent me to you.
Yeah. So he's given this instruction, and Moses is like, well, who are you? And the first recorded name of God, I am that I am, or translated as I am what I am. Remember, it was in Hebrew. So the translation is required. I am what I am that I am. I am, this great I am presence has sent me to you. Very, very profound. Now, why didn't that stick? Why didn't people just stick with that original I am presence idea? And why did they then go down the rabbit hole of creating all kinds of other versions of God? So in Hebrew, the passage uses the verb aya, form of the word haya, normally translated as I am or I will be. But interesting, that I am and I will be are very different. Very different sense. I am is permanent. It's referring to our being. I will be is desiring to be something in the future. Brings in the idea of the future. So there's an article by a theologian. If you want to have a look at that, you can check it out. The purpose of it is not to bore you to tears, but just to really understand how complicated the ego gets. So I am who I am, the real meaning of God's name in Exodus. And it gets quite technical, and he goes into the Aeon, the Yahweh, and the various names, Hashem, Adonai, etc., etc. And at a point, you might just zone out and go, "Well, what is this all really for?" But what it's really trying to show you is that as soon as as soon as you start creating a name or names for a nameless presence that's indefinable, you miss the point, don't you?
Mm.
So they're saying Yahweh is God's personal name, because now, God is apparently a person, so closely identified with his being that many Orthodox Jews refuse to pronounce it, instead saying Hashem, the name, or Adonai, Lord. To God, this name's sanctity. But it's just words. The name itself isn't isn't the name. This is where people go wrong. Yahweh isn't the name of God. That's just the name's been given to this presence. So it's no more holy than Hashem or Adonai. That's all just the mind making up these distinctions. And so in this, you see how the original revelation of Moses in his mystic experience, that God was the very essence of his and everyone's being, expressed as simply as possible in words as I am what I am, has then been denied. Now you've got all kinds of other names. You've got the personal name of God. You've got another name of God. And you're getting into dogma and you're getting into concepts. You see how God now becomes a concept rather than the actual presence that we are. God has become some external entity separate from the fundamentalists who believe in this conception of their own minds that they must then defend instead of accept as their own true identity that needs no defense because it simply is. And now we get into theological arguments. You can imagine in the olden days, maybe still today, Orthodox, oh no, you can't say the name Yahweh, that's a sin. You got to say Hashem or Adonai. And then another camp might say, well, there's nothing wrong with saying Hashem. There's nothing wrong with saying Yahweh. And so these theological debates go on, and they're all missing the point because God doesn't lie in the name. In fact, God has no interest in names or language or anything in form. God is just the very pure essence that lies behind it all, the awareness that cannot be deconstructed further. So this kind of denial of truth has been going on a very, very long time in all the religions of the world. It's in fact why they've become formalized religions with dogma, which is just conceptual thought strongly believed in, rather than helpful pointers to the universal experience of God that Yeshua refers to in the quote above. Mystics are the ones who have the universal experience, who can directly point you. They can talk about the experience. They can give you processes and techniques that have worked for them that will give you that experience, they hope. They can facilitate that experience, hence meditations and prayers and forgiveness processes and so on. The theologians of the world don't do that. They just argue about concepts and ideas, which are all made up by the ego. So none of them have any true reality anyway. Which is why in the Bible it's recorded that Yeshua had a lot of conflict with the Pharisees and the Sadducees because they were very much in the dogmatic, this is God and there's all these rules. And he came along and said, who made all this up? This isn't true. This is just mind-made rubbish. And it actually has nothing to do with the true God, which is in your own deepest awareness, the I am presence that Moses was revealed to Moses. And they go back to Moses, the God of Moses. It's like the original God of Moses. If you go before all of that other stuff that came subsequent, when he had his first mystic experience, the burning bush, the original God that was revealed to him was really simple, just an I am presence that inspired him to go and free his people. There was nothing, oh, my name is Yahweh, and be careful you don't call me be careful you don't call me by Yahweh because I'll be offended. Because actually, what I want to be called is Hashem or Adonai. Because it's just bizarre. You see, it's crazy that people would think this way. That God would actually think in this very limited way. But this is what formalized religions do. And then they make that the truth, and they don't like it when someone like Yeshua comes along, a genuine mystic who's had a deep experience of God, actually connecting with that presence directly, and starts teaching from that place, from that knowing. They don't like it at all because it makes them look shallow, superficial, silly, and on some level they know that. If you watch The Chosen, that was one of the themes. You can see it very clearly. And some of them, like Nicodemus, went to Yeshua and said, "Teach me," even though I'm supposedly above you in the hierarchy. He's the top rabbi in all of Israel. Yet he realizes he doesn't really know God. He doesn't really know it experientially like Jesus does. Even though Jesus is younger, he can learn from this master. So that was his humility. It's one of the first, I think it's in series 1 that's shown. It's recorded in the Bible. Anyway, so here we are in our discussion session, just discussing this. So, any thoughts about this, Elaine? Is this helpful? I think.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I've heard it before, but as
Yeah.
you say, you can't. Reminding many times is very important because we soon forget.
Yeah, it's just realizing that none of these names and all the the so-called people say you're blaspheming because you're using the name of God in vain.
Yeah.
It's all
Yes.
bollocks. It's all nonsense. Because
Concepts.
none of these words can capture the essence of what God is. That's actually untouchable and cannot be defiled and is completely invulnerable. These words just point. They words in a language that allow us to point to something that's beyond words. That's all they're there. So whether you use a Yahweh or Adonai or Hashem or God or spirit or just life or presence or pure formless awareness of perfect love or the I am, it doesn't really matter what words you use because none of them can really capture that essence. They can just point to it. So why do we have all these ridiculous rules then? Because that's just the mind trying to now seek to limit and control what is actually infinite and unlimited, which is, of course, the ego. That's what it tries to do. So that's leads us nicely into our discussion. We're already there, and prepares us nicely for the workbook lesson, which is on the name of God. So let's just read those 3 paragraphs just as a precursor to the workbook, next series of workbook lessons. Let's read those, shall we? And then we'll go into the lesson, do a meditation on. That should pretty much take us to the end of the session. Okay, so Lane, if you can read, let me start this very briefly. Okay, if you can read, just read in the alternative. Our next few lessons make a special point.
Our next few lessons, are you reading the other one?
Just read the alternative. It doesn't really need much translation.
Okay.
It's fairly straightforward, yeah.
Right. So our next few lessons make a special point of firming up my willingness to make my weak commitment strong and my scattered goals merge into one intent. I am not asked for total dedication all the time as yet, but you are asked to practice now in order to attain the sense of peace such unified commitment will bring, even if this is only intermittently. Experiencing this makes it sure that I will give my total willingness to follow the way the Course sets forth.
Yeah, any thoughts on that?
Well, it's just saying, just get started and just realize, that thoughts will be scattered and we will attain this peace. But it to such a unified commitment will bring, but it will be intermittent. It's saying that, even though there's a total willingness, that there will be moments that are scattered.
Yeah, so you start getting glimpses. What he's saying is, okay, so he knows that your commitment isn't always strong, that you vacillate, you have still various other goals that you think are worthwhile, and but you will start getting glimpses of this state of unity
Yeah,
as you go, and when you attain that unity state and the peace that comes with it, it firms up your commitment. You go, that is something worthwhile. That this is something that I can trust in. This is a very nice experience to have. I'd like to stay, be in this state more often. And so you start getting these glimpses, and then you vacillate again, and you get glimpses again. But the
yeah,
more you glimpse it, the stronger it becomes. It's like opening a crack in a door, and then you open it a little wider, and then the wind blows it shut a bit, and so on. And so slowly, the ego's trying to close it, and the spirit's trying to open it, and there's this toing and froing, and that's the vacillation. But if you on a spiritual path, the tendency is towards the opening of the door and the revealing of what lies beyond it in your true awareness. And as you start to see more and more of that, your mind becomes more in tune with the spirit. You start seeing more of the light that lies beyond the closed door. It starts opening up, your mind starts awakening, your perception starts changing, you start being more expansive. And you're saying, yeah, it's a process. It's not going to happen all at once, very seldom. It happens gradually over time. But as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're doing these lessons. And as we're now almost halfway through course 180 lessons, so halfway stage of the lessons, this process is starting to kick in. If you've been doing the lessons for 6 months at this point, you should be starting to have some of these experiences, starting to open up. The ego is being loosened up. And now he's saying, okay, it's time to take it to another level. So that leads us nicely into number 2. If you want to read that, our lessons now are geared.
my lessons now are geared specifically to widen horizons and direct approaches to the special blocks that keep my vision narrow and too limited to let me perceive the value of my goal. I am attempting now to lift these blocks, even if only briefly. Words alone cannot convey the sense of liberation which their lifting brings, but the experience of freedom and peace that comes as I give up my tight control of what I perceive speaks for itself. My motivation will be so intensified that words will become of little consequence. I will be sure of what I want and what is valueless. So it's just saying that this lesson will help to widen horizons and get a direct approach, and um, the blocks to this vision will reveal itself gradually,
Mm.
and the freedom and peace will come from this tight control we've had, and this is without words.
Yeah, so we start going beyond words to experience. The course is a very wordy path. There's a lot of words
Mm-hmm.
in the course. There's probably something like 100,000 or more words. So it's a very long book. But he's using the words as pointers initially, to appeal to our intellectual mind, the mind that it's conceptual and intellectual and wants words and wants to understand. But as we start going deeper into it, we're being pointed beyond words into the presence that lies beyond them. That is formless, that is nameless, that is this I am presence that we've talked about. And then words will become of little consequence. And he says, words are actually almost twice removed. In the Manual for Teachers, there's a section on the role of words. So words are twice removed from reality, because words describe some object usually, or some concept, and so they are one step removed from let's say we're talking about something in the physical world and there's a word to describe it. So that's already an image that's not real. And then the word is twice removed because the word is a pointer to an image. See, so that's why it says twice removed from reality.
Mm.
Whereas the actual experience that lies beyond the words is what we really want.
Mm-hmm.
Going beyond the language into what would be called typically a mystic state, just a state of deep connection with this presence, in which there's nothing that needs to be done or said. I need do nothing. One of the sections of the text where it says, when you really awaken, you realize you need do nothing. You just rest in God, as lesson 109 says. Okay, and so I start my journey.
And so I start my journey beyond words by concentrating first on what still impedes my progress. Experience of what exists beyond defensiveness remains beyond achievement while it is denied. It may be there, but I cannot accept its presence. So now I attempt to go past all defenses for a little while each day. No more than this is asked, because no more than this is needed. It will be enough to guarantee the rest will come.
Yeah. So what's he saying there? Summary. It's a nice preparation for the lesson, really.
It's just saying when we start this journey and we go beyond words, we first concentrate on what still impedes the progress. So it's an experience of what exists beyond the defensiveness. So it remains beyond achievement while it is denied. It may be there, but it cannot accept its presence. So it's just saying now we attempt to go past all of these defenses, even just for a little while for each day. And that's it. It won't ask any more of you.
Yeah, so it's a little willingness. It's just saying, well, practice, be willing to open that door a little bit wider. Every time you practice, you say, okay, I'm willing to just open a little wider, just see a little bit more, and start opening up to what's beyond, which for the ego is terrifying, but for the spirit is amazing.
Liberating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what you really want. It's what the ego fears, but under your true self, as yearn for that opening and the connection with its source, forever, for all of time. Since we decided that we wanted to be separate from God and invented time, this yearning has been there to reconnect with this, with God's name, or perfect love's identity. Okay, so that leads us very nicely into today's lesson. Let me just tab across to that. Which, lesson 183. Okay. So yeah, if you can read that, upon God's name and on my own,
Yeah.
we can I can read the original if you like, and you read the alternative. Okay,
Yeah.
so I call upon God's name and on my own.
I call on perfect love's identity and on my own.
Yeah, so God's name. This can be confusing. Well, what is God's name? And it doesn't actually specify what God's name is in the lesson. Just God, or to use Father, or Actually, it's the loving awareness. Perfect love's identity is just pure formless awareness of perfect love or perfect loving awareness, whatever you want to call it. It's just a pointer to a presence or an awareness, and that's what you're calling on when you call on God's name. So again, don't get caught up in the oh, I'm calling on God's name and the name has special power. No, the name just points you in the right direction to go into your own awareness and start connecting with that. The name itself is just a pointer, not, it doesn't have the power itself. It's just a pointer to the power, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so God's name is holy, but no holier than yours.
Uh,
Read the
yeah.
alternative.
Oh, yeah. Perfect love's identity is wholly aware, but no more so than mine.
To call upon his name is but to call upon your own.
To call on its identity is only to call on my own.
The Father gives his Son his name.
A source gives its extension its identity and so identifies the extension with it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't read the rest of that sentence. Never mind, it's the same. His brothers share his name, and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity.
All my companions share this one identity, and so they are unified in a bond to which they turn for their true identity.
The Father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world that does not know, even though you have not remembered it.
My source's identity reminds me who I am, even within a world that does not know, and even though I have not remembered it.
And from the top in the alternative, kindly.
Actually, babe, could you make it a little bigger? Just, I can't see it, but it's just, I'm having to.
Let's make it 130, shall we?
Yeah.
There we go. Is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, that's fine. That's great, thanks. Right. Just do that. Perfect love's identity is wholly aware, but no more so than mine. To call on its identity is only to call on my own. A source gives its extension its identity and so identifies the extension with it. All my companions share this one identity, and so they are unified in a bond to which they turn to their true identity. My source's identity reminds me who I am, even within a world that does not know, and even though I have not remembered it. Just saying about the perfect love's identity or God's identity is wholly aware, but nobody's any more than another.
Yeah, we all share it. It's one.
Yeah.
If there's only one extension of the source, then we must all be the same. Right? If there's only one source, then there's only one extension of the source, one awareness, if you like. Actually, it's all the same awareness. We just have these names for it in the illusion of separation. So, we extend the source, we extend our fundamental awareness, but it's all the same awareness. When you boil it down, there's no difference between your fundamental awareness and the fundamental awareness of someone else or of a bug, an insect, a plant. It's the same awareness that underlies it all.
Mm.
So this reminds us, even within a world that does not know, has forgotten its identity, and that you've forgotten your identity. This is a pointer. This, I call on perfect love's identity and on my own is a pointer back home to remember the truth. Okay, so let's go on to number 2, shall we? God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind that calls you to remember.
I cannot recognize perfect love's identity without response, nor perceive it without an echo in my awareness that calls me to remember it.
Say his name and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. Okay, it's interesting. One of the few times he brings in angels in the course. There's only a couple of mentions of them, but we'll go into what an angel really is in the translation.
When I claim perfect love's identity, true thoughts and feelings envelop me, telling me that I am completely safe and sheltered from every worldly thought that may intrude upon my pure, formless awareness. And from the top, I cannot recognize perfect love's identity without response, nor perceive it without an echo of my awareness that calls me to remember it. When I claim perfect love's identity, true thoughts and feelings envelop me, telling me that I am completely safe and sheltered from every worldly thought that may intrude upon my pure formless awareness. Just a nice reassuring paragraph, that, isn't it?
Yeah, very. So I'm completely safe. I'm sheltered from all this. So really the angels that he's talking about is just your thoughts. You invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand. Now, some people really get into this and go, oh, these angels really exist, and they're these celestial beings, and they give them names, and there's a whole angel hierarchy, and there's a worshipping them and personalizing them, right? So you've got, the various archangels, and then various minor angels, and there's this whole like celestial order going on. That's all made up. It doesn't actually exist in truth. This is made up by minds who still don't want to recognize that there's really just one awareness. That's God is one awareness. So these angels, you might say, the angel of courage. So Archangel Michael's associated with courage and strength, and I think it was Raphael associated with healing, and Gabriel associated with something else. But these are just qualities that come from the source, and then we personalize them, we give them names, and we call it an angel. But why would you do that if it's just a quality, it's just a value that you can go, well, I can just connect with that idea of strength, courage. I can feel that in my heart. I can bring that in, and I don't need to personalize and call it by some name and deify it, and then say, well, I'm calling on Archangel Michael's grace to help me, because actually just it's all God. That presence that brings you the courage and the strength is already within you. So the translation of the angels is, when I claim perfect love's identity, true thoughts and feelings envelop me. This is the angels. Invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand. The true thoughts envelop you. True thoughts are the angels that protect your mind, that protect you from the dark thoughts of the ego, telling me that I'm completely safe and sheltered from every worldly thought that may intrude upon my pure formless awareness. So the angels are the vigilant thoughts, the awareness of, okay, so that, this is a negative thought. I'm aware of that. I need to let this go. I need to practice forgiveness in order to protect my holiness, my pure formless awareness from the assault of the ego, which is what it's always trying to do. Does that make sense? I mean,
It does. It does.
I think it's a more helpful explanation, because otherwise you then externalize, and then you have this whole angel thing going on, and how does that fit into formless awareness, and a whole lot of questions, and people try and mix the levels. No, angels are real. Well, they can't be real if there's only pure formless awareness of perfect love. They're also part of the illusory construct of the mind. We've given form to these ideas, and we call them angels. And do so, they seem to exist in mind, just like everything seems to exist in mind. They're as illusory as anything else. But what they point to, the only value of angels is they point you to something greater. They point you to a deeper awareness, which we call God, which is why, in all these traditions, it's like the angels serve God, because these thoughts, these values that the angels represent serve the underlying awareness from which they come. Now you start to make sense of the whole picture. And I was like, okay, well, that's understandable. And I'm just talking in practical, plain psychological terms that make this all understandable, and I can actually learn this. So then just change the language as we've done. Instead of using angels, use positive thoughts, true thoughts and feelings. That's what I used instead of angels. Okay, and then the diagram, if you want to just read that. This is one of your diagrams you've kindly sent me, so I appreciate that.
God's name cannot be heard without response. Say his name and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand and sing to you as they spread their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude your holiness.
Yeah, so just read the alternative again.
I cannot recognize perfect love's
No,
identity.
just from number 2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. When I claim perfect love's identity, true thoughts and feelings envelop me, telling me that I am completely safe and sheltered from every worldly thought that may intrude upon my pure formless awareness.
So if you read those two, which one makes more sense? Which one's more applicable? I think most people would probably say the second one. I get that there's something quite beautiful about the language, but how helpful is it? How applicable is it? You invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand. I mean,
It's
if
a
you took
bit,
that
yeah.
literally, you're like, well, I'm walking on angels, and the angels surround me,
It
and
would be a bit too
well,
far-fetched.
it's a bit kind of airy fairy, really, or
Yes, it is.
angel woo woo, well, however you want to phrase it. So hang on, I'm just living my life, and for most people, that's not really going to be that relatable. Or I'm just walking around living my life. I don't feel like there's angels surrounding the ground on which I stand and singing to me as they spread out their wings to keep me safe.
Yeah,
Walking in an angelic chorus. If you took it literally, you would go, well,
yeah,
I'm not doing the course properly because where are all the angels? They're supposed to be they're
yeah.
supposed to be surrounding me and be all over the place. I'm supposed to be hearing them, and why am I hearing them? And am I kind of missing something? Am I not getting the course? But this is just pointing us to the language points us to a deeper awareness. So the translation is hopefully helpful in just understanding that it's really about your thoughts and feelings. True thoughts and feelings envelop me, and those become what protect you, keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that will intrude upon your holiness. Well, yeah, your positive thoughts, your vigilant thoughts are going to do that, aren't they?
Yes.
Now it becomes, well, it's not really about angels spreading out their wings to keep me safe. It's about just staying in that awareness, being vigilant. But, this language can work for some people, and he uses it because it's poetic and it's beautiful on one level. I just think it needs a bit of translation,
It does,
become
yes.
practically applicable.
It does.
Okay, so let's move on to number 3, shall we? Repeat God's name, and all the world responds by laying down illusions.
When I claim perfect love's identity, the world responds by letting go of illusions.
Okay, so repeating God's name instead of just saying, well, God or Father, and it's more about the claiming of perfect love's identity. So you might say, instead of repeating God's name, you might actually say, I am that I am, or I am love. That would be repeating God's name. So what he's really talking about is that kind of affirmation. Remember, after we did the naming your game exercise and flipping your flop, your essence statement is, I am love for most people. That's repeating God's name. That's what he's really meaning here. Without saying it, it's a bit cryptic. So you could read the passage in the original and go, well, he's not really told us what God's name is. So Am I supposed to say God? Am I supposed to say Father? Am I supposed to say another name? What's the magic formula? The truth is, it's not in the word. It's in the presence that you invoke when you say the word. So use whatever works to invoke that feeling and that experience. So every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand, you find a star, a miracle of grace.
Every dream the world values suddenly disappears, and where it seemed to stand, I have an insight, which is a correction in my thinking that leads to the experience of grace.
So again, you see the translation. The original was maybe more poetic. Where it seems to stand, you find a star, a miracle of grace. Well, what is the star? It's an insight. It's something that's guiding you. The star, traditionally in Christianity, was the star that led the wise men to the birthplace of Jesus. So it's a symbol of insight, guidance, awakening, and so on. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. I think that's going to be the same. So the blind can see, the deaf can hear. It's going to be the same. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. So just read from number 3 then.
The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The spirituality blind can see, and the stubborn can suddenly hear the truth. The sorrowful let go of their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. From the top.
Yeah.
When I claim perfect love's identity, the world responds by letting go of illusions. Every dream the world values suddenly disappears, and where it seemed to stand, I have an insight which is a correction in my thinking that leads to the experience of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The spirituality blind can see, and the stubborn can suddenly hear the truth. The sorrowful let go of their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. So it's just saying when we claim this perfect love's identity and letting go of all the illusions, then suddenly it will have insight, which is a correction of our thinking that leads to this experience of grace. And it's just explaining how the sick will arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The spiritually blind can see, and the stubborn can suddenly hear the truth.
Yeah, so the original was the deaf can hear. The deaf are the stubborn, those who refuse to hear. So again, I've translated it. Spiritually blind.
Many.
Yeah. So that hopefully it becomes a bit more understandable. You go, oh, okay, it's not physically blind, it's the spiritually blind. And see and understand. The stubborn can suddenly hear the truth. Sorrowful let go of their mourning, tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. Okay, so if you want to read that, it's about happy laughter.
Happy laughter. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and tears of pain are dried as happy laughter comes to bless the world. And the next one. What is happy laughter? Happy laughter is the realization that the thing we were crying over did not occur. There was no loss. That we were simply mistaken. It is the most healing realization. And it's just saying to repeat God's name and all the world responds by laying down illusions.
Well, so the happy laughter is just like, oh my God, it was all just a dream. In the Zen tradition, they say enlightenment is a joke. It's kind of what they mean. You know, when you get it, you just laugh. You go, what a ridiculous dream. What a crazy idea that I could be something separate from my source, that I could be human and subject to the limits of time and space and everything that goes on here. What a totally mad idea. So in truth, you know, nothing has been lost. I haven't lost anything. I haven't been hurt. I haven't suffered. I haven't died. The whole thing's just a dream from which I can awaken, albeit a very seemingly persistent dream, but a dream nevertheless. So it's laughter is actually inherent in laughter is letting go. I think we discussed it the other day with Kate, didn't we? Laughter. Well, if you're going to laugh at anyone or anything, you can't take it too seriously. So there's inherently a letting go element in any genuine laughter, because you make light of that which was serious. It's why comedians who, you know, make fun of people in the world are so liberating, because people come out and they're like, well, it's not actually so serious. The world isn't such a terrible place. You can just laugh at it. And you feel uplifted when that happens. Okay, happy to go on. Number 4. So repeat the name of God, and little names have lost their meaning.
When I claim perfect love's identity, little beliefs in separation lose their meaning for me.
So no temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name.
Temptation becomes meaningless and unwanted before perfect love's identity.
Repeat his name and see how easily you'll forget the names of all the gods you valued. Number 3.
Okay. When I claim perfect love's identity, I will see how easily I forget all the false beliefs I valued.
Repeat his name and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective.
They will lose their value if their value I gave them.
Let's make that maybe a bit of embellishing. Maybe when I claim perfect love's identity, they will lose the value I gave them. So repeat his name and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. I think there might be more to that. Let's see. They've lost the name of God you gave them. They become anonymous and valueless to you, though before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. So
They will become anonymous and valueless to me. Although before I let the identity perfect love replace these beliefs, I stood before them worshipfully, identifying with them as true.
yeah, so to worship just means to give worth to, yeah? I give worth to, I worship. I give worthship to, that's where it comes from. So in other words, I value it. So this isn't I kneel down and pray before whatever it is, the golden calf. It's more I value these false idols. I value these beliefs that I think are real. I value my belief in a special relationship. I value my belief in material things, in money, in status, in the body, and so on. Right? These are the false beliefs that we value, and so we're worshiping. By valuing those things, we are worshiping false idols. That's what to worship really means. And so then, it becomes much more practical and doable. A lot of people, well, I don't worship false idols. I don't bow down to some golden calf because they think that's what it is. No, but you bow down to the ideas of these things that you value in your life, and you value money over people and relationships potentially, or you value the body over the mind and the spirit, because we identify with these false beliefs as true, and these beliefs then make up the ego and block our awareness of perfect love, the identity of perfect love. Okay, happy to go on, Elaine?
Yes.
Questions? Okay, so repeat the name of God and call upon yourself, whose name is His.
When I claim perfect love's identity, I call upon my true self, whose identity is perfect love's.
Repeat His name, and all the tiny, nameless things on earth slip into right perspective.
When I claim its identity, all the tiny, meaningless things on earth slip into right perspective for me.
Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the Holy Son of God.
What number am I on? 2?
No, I think it's 3.
Oh, yeah. When I call upon the identity of perfect love, I cannot mistake the meaningless of this identity, nor sin for grace or bodies for the innocent extension of perfect love.
And should you join a brother, as you sit with him in silence and repeat God's name along with him within your quiet mind, you have established there an altar which reaches to God Himself and to His Son.
And should I join a companion as we sit in silence and claim perfect love's identity together within our quiet minds, we establish a foundation that reaches the pure formless awareness of perfect love itself and its extension.
Yeah, from the top.
When I claim perfect love's identity, I call upon my true self, whose identity is perfect love's. When I claim its identity, all the tiny, meaningless things on earth slip into right perspective for me. When I call upon the identity of perfect love, I cannot mistake the meaningless for this identity, nor sin for grace or bodies for the innocent extension of perfect love. And should I join a companion as we sit in silence and claim perfect love's identity together within our quiet minds, we establish a foundation that reaches to pure formless awareness of perfect love itself and its extension, and to its extension.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
Well, just saying that once we claim this perfect love's identity, then this is when we're falling upon our true self, which is of perfect love. And so while we're pursuing all the meaningless things on the earth, this will bring us our true perspective. But we can't mistake the meaningless for this identity, nor sin for grace or bodies for the innocent extension of love. So it says when we join with our companion to sit in silence and claim this identity with our quiet minds, this is then when we establish the foundation of the pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension.
Yeah. And our quiet minds. It's lovely. Connect with others. He's talking about sort of some kind of collective meditation or prayer. So you sit quietly and sit in that silence and you connect to this presence together. Claim perfect love's identity together. Repeat God's name. Not really about saying it over and over. It's about connecting with the essence, the presence that it points to. And this is the foundation. Establish an altar, that's the original. Establish there an altar which reaches to God himself and to his son. So the altar is the foundation that reaches to pure formless awareness of perfect love itself and to its extension. Okay. Happy with that, Lynn?
Yes.
Let's just have a look quickly at the illustration. God's name, a visual symbol.
Oh, do you want me to read that?
Yeah, I'll just read the text on there.
Yeah. God's name, a visual symbol. Your Father's name reminds you who you are. So it's saying a father gives his son his name and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. There's more. And it's just saying to repeat the name of God and call upon yourself, whose name is his. Sit silently and let his name become the all-encompassing idea that holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one.
Yeah. So, thoughts on that? Have you read it from the top in the alternative?
Yeah.
Did that, yeah. Lovely, really. Just, the words just point us to the truth.
Mm. Mm.
It's about using them as pointers to this experience he's talking about, which, remember, the precursor to these lessons. It's all about going beyond words into experience.
Mm.
You see how the lessons start doing that. Very skillfully, he's using words to evoke an experience in us. The name of God and the light and uniting with our brothers. And there's a process to this. What he's talking about here is a joint prayer or meditation. Should I join a companion as we sit in silence, claim perfect love's identity together within our quiet minds? We establish a foundation that reaches to pure formless itself and to its extension. So just sitting quietly with anyone and doing a meditation or a prayer or any spiritual practice establishes that. And if you've ever done group meditations, I'm sure you probably have at some point. You feel that. In a
Mm.
group, you feel the connection and you feel the oneness, and it
Yeah.
enhances people's experience.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to number 6 then. Practice by this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and still again. Become oblivious to every name but his.
I will practice only today. I claim perfect love's identity slowly again and again by saying, I am perfect love. Become oblivious to every identity but its.
Yeah, nothing else. That all your thoughts become anchored on this.
I hear nothing else. All my thoughts become anchored on this.
No other word we use except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once.
And I use no other words except at the beginning when I say today's idea only once.
No other words except at the beginning when I say today's idea. Just once. And then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own.
Sorry, where are we?
Last one, number 6.
Yeah. And then perfect love's identity becomes my only thought, my only word, the only thing that occupies my awareness, the only wish I have, the only sound the only sound with any meaning, and the only identity of everything that I desire and perceive and call my own.
Okay, and then from the top in the alternative.
I will practice only this today. I claim perfect love's identity slowly again and again by saying, I am perfect love. I become oblivious to every identity but this. Where am I?
But it's, yeah, number 3.
Oh, yeah. I will hear nothing else. All my thoughts will be anchored on this. I use no other words except at the beginning of my practice when I say today's idea just once, and then perfect love's identity comes my only thought, my only word, the only thing that occupies my awareness, the only wish I have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only identity of everything that I desire to perceive and call my own. So it's just saying how we practice today just purely on this one word, and that's all that is important to us. It will occupy our awareness, and it's the only wish we have. Every sound, everything we desire.
It unifies our scattered goals and the meaningless intentions into this one awareness. It's why often people use a word or a phrase, as a meditation kind of mantra. You say the word over and over and becomes a mantra that takes you into this deeper awareness. So this is kind of what he's asking us to do here. Say one word, whatever that may be, or one phrase. So my suggestion is I am perfect love.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying God or Father or any other name of God, because that's actually quite meaningful and identifies you. It's in the personal. So it identifies you as the I am, that is perfect love, rather than God as some concept outside of you. And God is so amazing, God is so wonderful. God is a concept outside of you rather than in your own awareness. And this is the mistake pretty much every traditional religion has made. God is conceptualized and projected out of the mind rather than accepted as the very foundation of the mind. And the mystics know this, and so they come and try and correct that error through their teachings. Okay, speaking of teachings, let's crack on with the lesson then. So thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused.
In this way, I give invitation which I can never be refused.
Yeah, it can never be refused. And God will come and answer it himself.
And pure formless awareness of perfect love will come and answer my call itself.
Ignati hears little prayers of those who call on him with names of idols cherished by the world.
I do not think it hears the little prayers of those who call on it with false beliefs cherished by the world.
They cannot reach him thus.
They cannot reach it in this way.
He cannot hear a request that he be not himself, or that his son receive another name than his.
It cannot hear requests that it be itself, or that its extension receive another identity than its.
Yeah, from the top in the alternative. We actually forgot about this one, sorry.
Yeah.
Just go back and do that quickly.
Yeah. I call upon God's name and on my own. Reading all of it. Okay. God has no name, meaning that there is no verbal symbol that is God's actual name. But for the purpose of meditation, we will use the word Father to call upon the visual symbol. And there it is.
Yeah, and so this is obviously Kat's interpretation. So, okay, we're going to use a single word, Father, as my only thought, the only sound with any meaning, my only word, the only name of everything I desire to see, the only thing that occupies my mind, my only wish, the only name of everything that we would call our own. I would prefer, if you're going to use a name, use perfect love, or
Yeah.
formless awareness of perfect love, than Father, because Father's a bit well, unfortunately, because of the connotation is human, we all have human fathers.
Yeah.
It creates this idea that this is somehow outside of us. This source is somehow, like a parent, not us, but sort of overseeing us, guiding us. When in fact it's your own true awareness. So it's a misnomer. That's not actually what it is. It's the source of your awareness. It's the very essence of your being.
Yeah.
Not some overseeing presence that's going to guide and potentially control and punish you for your sins. So you can see how the mistake is made. So if you call it Father, then what you do is you then project onto that concept all the stuff that you relate to your own father and your concept of fathers in this world, which is based on special relationships, based on separation, based on the ego. And of course, you get you confuse it, you muddy the waters with that. So I understand why Jesus used the term 2,000 years ago, but I would argue it's not that helpful now to use a term like that. Rather use a more direct pointer like perfect loving awareness or pure formless awareness of perfect love, or even just love, or I am would be better. The I am presence. I am that I am is a better pointer than Father, in my opinion, humble opinion. Okay, so we'll get to the meditation now. Let's just jumping ahead. Meditation.
That would be good.
Yeah, this is where we are. So let's just read this, and then we'll do the med. Repeat God's name, and you acknowledge Him as sole creator of reality.
When I repeat that I am one with perfect love, I acknowledge it as the sole source of reality.
The only source of reality. And you acknowledge also that His Son is part of Him, creating in His name.
And I also acknowledge that its extension is part of it, extending its identity as well.
Sit silently and let His name become the all-encompassing idea that holds your mind completely.
I sit silently, letting its identity become the all-encompassing idea that holds my awareness completely.
And the will cash away. I'll sit silently and let all thoughts be still except this one.
I let go of all thoughts except this one.
So I will let go of all thoughts except this one. And to all other thoughts, respond with this. And see God's name. Replace the 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts. Not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all that there will be. Right, number 4.
And I respond with this with all other thoughts, perceiving perfect love's identity. Replace the 1,000 little names I gave my thoughts, not realizing that there is one identity for all, is and ever will be. From the top, when I repeat that I am one with perfect love, I acknowledge it as the only source of reality, and I also acknowledge that its extension is part of it, extending its identity as well. I will sit silently, letting its identity become the all-encompassing idea that holds my awareness completely. I will let go of all thoughts except this one, and I respond with this to all other thoughts, inviting perfect love's identity to replace the thousands of little names I gave my thoughts, not realizing that there is one identity for all there is and ever will be.
Now, from the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just done it from the top.
Yeah, sorry. You have indeed. So shall we do a meditation?
Yeah, that would be good actually.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll meditation, and there's a couple more paragraphs, but I'll kind of read those to you as part of the meditation. So
Yeah, thank you.
it's after 9, so you're probably getting a bit tired,
Yeah.
as I am. All right, so let's dive into the med then, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is a meditation on today's workbook lesson 183. We're on to all about God's name. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Up your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind. Noticing any thoughts, any emotions, related body sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting, difficult in any way. And repeat in the name of God by claiming that you are one with perfect love. God is love, so say I am perfect love and perfect loving awareness. I am perfect loving awareness. Breathing in again, breathing in this awareness to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind. Let it permeate the very essence of your being. Realize that it is in fact the very essence of your being. Breathing in. Just say 3 times to yourself, I am perfect loving awareness. As you exhale on the truth of that. Access this perfect loving awareness, allow it, invite it in. If you notice any other thoughts that contradict it, discussed in the expression session, some grievances that you're feeling. Just exhale out. I have a sense of just so just repeat this phrase, I am perfect loving awareness. Make this the all-encompassing idea. It holds your awareness completely. Exhale, just blowing any other thoughts and emotions, any other awareness out of your mouth like a dark cloud or black smoke. Sinking deeper and deeper with each breath. You're breathing subtly and slowly, breathing in on the name of God. I am love, I am perfect loving awareness. So you just sink inwards into the depth of this presence of this being. If your mind gets distracted, just repeat this phrase again: I am perfect loving awareness. And use it to direct your focus back to the truth. So be as mentally still as you can be. To rest in God. Feel what that feels like, just resting in this being that is within you. It's your own most deepest awareness. Maybe you just haven't been aware of until this point. So allow yourself to just say, I am perfect loving awareness. Say it again, I am perfect loving awareness. Breathe in as you do that. So any untoward thoughts, emotions, anything that disturbs your peace in any way, this becomes your only thought, your only word, your only desire, your encompassing idea which holds your mind completely, wholly and complete. Sinking inwards, going deeper and deeper with each breath, breathing in and out. If you notice any wandering thoughts, obviously irrelevant, thinking about anything other than the present moment, past, the future, it's always going to be a wandering thought. Today, suggest you can achieve a state in which you experience the gift of grace. You can escape all bondage of the world, give the world the same release you found. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. So nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Please relax and be still, sink into this sacred stillness and this And just surrender in, you deeper and deeper with every breath, into the stillness and the silence that this lesson points you to. And just gently coming back now, this deep connected state of awareness, into an awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. One more time, I am perfect love or perfect loving awareness if you prefer that. So now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So on the count of 2, just notice smell in your nose as you breathe in. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing, surrounding environment, feeling, touching, tasting. On to 2, just complete the scan of your body, noticing whatever's going on in your body. Breathe in, sensations in your body. Do a quick scan from head to toe. If there's any negativity anywhere. Now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just take a moment to look around. And bring this, so connect with this awareness as you look around and realize that God's name, this perfect loving awareness, underlies all your sense perceptions and will guide you accordingly. And the Course says maybe we can finish off with 9 and 10. So Elaine, if you want to read Read 9 and 10 to close it out. I think those are the last two paragraphs. 11 as well. Just in the alternative. Today I can achieve a state. Elaine, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I was dozing off. Do you mind if I just close it here, because I'm really dozed off?
Well, why don't I read it to you? Just kind of.
Do you know what I mean? I'm ready now, just to doze. Do you mind?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that was very nice. Yeah, too relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Question for bed. So.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Good night. Namaste.
Stay. See you next week.
See you next week.
All right. So let's just finish the lesson. So today you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gift of grace. Today I can achieve a state in which I experience the gift of grace. I can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release I found. I can remember what the world forgot and offer it my own remembering. Today I can accept the part I play in its awakening and my own as well. I can accomplish both perfectly. So I turn to the identity of perfect love or the name of God for my release, and it is given to me. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within itself. Words are insignificant, and all requests are needed when perfect love's extension calls on its source's identity. Its source's thoughts become mine. I make my claim to all my source gave, is giving still and will forever give. My source calls on me to let all things I thought I made be meaningless now. And in their place, the holy way identity of perfect love becomes my judgment of their worthlessness. So this awareness just helps us realize everything else is worthless, pointless, valueless, meaningless. And we focus our awareness on this one awareness, this perfect loving awareness. So I turn to the identity of perfect love for my release, and it is given to me. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within itself. Words are insignificant, and all requests are needed. And perfect love's extension calls on its source's identity. Source's thoughts become mine. I make my claim to all my source gave. So the claim of all my source gave is giving still and will give forever. My source calls on me to let all things I thought I made be meaningless now, and in their place, the holy way identity of perfect love becomes my judgment of their worthlessness. All little things are silent, little sounds are soundless now. All things of earth have disappeared. The universe consists of nothing but the extension of perfect, loving awareness. It calls upon its source, and its source's voice gives answer, and its source's innocent identity. In this eternal still relationship in which communication far transcends all words, and yet exceeds in depth and height whatever words could possibly convey. Lies eternal peace. I will experience this peace today in my source's identity, in the name of God. And in his name, in my source's identity, it shall be given to me, shall be given to us. Experience this peace today in my source's identity, and in its identity is given to me. And so just rest in this peace for a few moments. Close your eyes, sink into this peace of this true identity awareness the lesson points to. And so just set the intention to stay in this connected state, carry this awareness with you wherever you go. This is what it means to be constantly repeating the name of God. Prayer without seeking, as Apostle Paul called it, is just keeping this in mind, reminding yourself of that fact. So practice the lesson well. If you need to, let's do a short breath break. There's instructions there. If you're in the community, then you should have the 6-minute breath break recording and these written instructions. So practice it, and will keep you in the peace of God, in the peace of perfect love. So it is said and so it is done. Amen. Okay, so that brings us to the end of tonight's session. Thank you for joining. Thank you to Elaine. Thank you to you if you joined the live stream. Just to end off, if you would like to subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate that, and you'll be notified whenever I go live. So you'll know that there's a live stream and you can listen to recordings on YouTube. You can also go to lifebuild.com. You can see that in my virtual background. Just type in lifebuild as you see it spelt in the background, and over there as I'm pointing, trying to point, and just add a .com to that, and there you can sign up to my Telegram group where you'll get daily inspirational quotes, as I showed you, a kind of message about that blog post written by me, some other quotes often, and the daily lesson related to that quote for the day from the workbook of A Course in Miracles, with illustrations as you've seen, and invitations to join these live sessions. So check it out at lifebuild.com, sign up. Just need a Telegram account, which you can download Telegram for free on the App Store and Google Play stores. Install Telegram if you don't have it, and you'll be able to receive these messages from me every day at no cost. So that's me signing off today. It's been a long day. Heading off to a bit of quietness and stillness before bed. So thank you for joining. I wish you the same, and namaste, which means the peaceful presence in me acknowledges and honors that same peaceful, loving awareness or presence in you. Peace.